Major, we have a nuclear submarine down in forward waters. This might be the start of World War III. Check your status, over. Well, fuck this shit. Hunter Killer is a movie starring Gerard Butler, Linda Cardellini, Common, and Gary Oldman. Of all people, that's like the most random cast ever. So basically in this movie, there's Russian military officers staging a coup, while a U.S. submarine, yes, there are submarines in this movie.
We all live in a yellow submarine, yellow submarine, yellow submarine.
Not that submarine, but yeah, there's submarines in this movie, and apparently one got torpedoed, and now it's going to start World War III. Basically, what this movie is a movie released 2 decades too late. Hunter Killer is a movie that bored me. It's a cheesy 90s action movie that should have come out in the 90s. And I think that that's really this movie's biggest fault. It takes itself way too seriously. It thinks it's a 2010s action movie when it's really a cheesy 90s action movie. I was bored throughout this entire movie. I couldn't really get into this movie. I knew what was going on, but it was just, nothing interested me about this. Mostly, here's what happens in this movie, other than the plot bits that I just gave you. People sit in a submarine and talk. People stand in a control room and talk. People stand around and talk. Oh, look, there's some guy waving a paper and he's giving orders and he's talking. Everybody just sits around and talks. That's what this movie is. I don't even consider this an action movie. This is like a political thriller, but like its themes don't really resonate with today's climate. Yeah, sure, Russia, the U.S., possibly going to war. I mean, yeah, that's something that's on everybody's mind again, because you got Donald Trump in office, and he's, with his idiocy, you never know what's going to happen. But, like, the narrative here is, it's like, it has Cold War undertones that I feel like are just 2 decades too late in a movie. Like, seriously, Cold War undertones with World War III undertones. I mean, for Christ's sake, James Bond hasn't even touched on that. There hasn't been a James Bond movie that's touched on, like, World War III since Tomorrow Never Dies. I don't even think a James Bond movie has touched on the Cold War since, like, A View to a Kill. Even GoldenEye was like, yeah, the Cold War's over.
This is Commander Gilmore, U.S. Strategic Command, and General Borshevsky, Russian Intelligence.
Russian Intelligence? Are you mad?
A lot's happened since you were frozen. The Cold War's over.
Well, finally those capitalist pigs will pay for their crimes, eh? Hey, comrades, hey?
Austin, we won.
Oh, groovy, smashing, yay capitalism.
So, I mean, people, the Cold War, it's long gone. Like, this is way too late. Here's the best way to describe this movie. If you've seen The Hunt for Red October, you've seen Hunter Killer. If you've seen Crimson Tide, you've seen Hunter Killer. If you've seen K-19 The Widowmaker, you've seen Hunter Killer. It's the exact same thing, a little bit more action, a little bit of more overtones, try to resonate with what's going on in the current political climate today, but instead it resonates with the political climate from 20 to 30 years ago that nobody's really even thinking about anymore. I mean, yeah, you still have the whole Russia-US tension thing. I mean, that I think it hit that on the mark, but everything else, not really. There are a couple major action set pieces in this movie, and I think they are helmed very well. I think those are the best directed scenes of the movie. Those are fun when they go down, but the rest of the movie is just people sitting around or standing around and talking. Like I said, there's people in a control room just talking. There's somebody with a paper that just talks. He's like, hey, look at me. I have a paper. I'm wearing a military uniform. I'm in command here. Nobody fight me, bitch. That's what this movie really is. I mean, you have Gerard Butler in this movie. I mean, this dude's like a 90s action star at heart. We all thought he was going to have a great career because he made 300, which, quite frankly, starting to question my sanity as to whether or not 300's a good movie. He made 300, he was the most popular man on the earth, and now his career has just tanked, and it's going to go even further down. It might get torpedoed by a submarine. Common's in this movie. Common's the best part of the movie, honestly. Common surprises me as an actor. He actually gives the best performance in the entire movie. Don't know how. Linda Cardellini thinks she's still playing Velma from Scooby Doo, and Gary Oldman is... And I don't know what Gary Oldman was thinking. Was he just like, you know, I just made Darkest Hour, I'm not getting any more Oscar-worthy screenplays, so I mean, I need some work, I might as well just take that paycheck. This is Gary Oldman collecting his paycheck. Which is sad, because I love Gary Oldman as an actor. And he is so ridiculously over the top. There's one scene later in the movie where he gets mad, and he just goes so far over the top. I'm like, dude, what the hell, man? That is terrible. It's coming from Gary Oldman, an Oscar-winning actor. Yeah. Who should have multiple Oscars, if you ask me. This movie is just so predictable. It's so cliched. You know what's going to happen. It's the Peacemaker on steroids. It's the Peacemaker on steroids in a submarine. That's what it is, yeah, the Peacemaker, that terrible 90s action movie with George Clooney and Nicole Kidman. That's what this movie is, but in a submarine. That's it, and all the other submarine movies that I mentioned, it's all those plus the Peacemaker. We've seen it all before. It's predictable, it's cliched, and at this point, it's just boring. This concept has overplayed itself to a T. This movie was self-aware that it was a cheesy 90s action movie, released in 2018, but it committed to that absurdity. I would have been fine with that. But, seriously, when you take yourself too seriously, I'm not really going to have that much fun with your ridiculousness of your plot. This movie tries to be something serious. That's really the biggest, nail in the coffin for this movie, is that it's a cheesy 90s action movie posing as, a super serious, today's climate, political thriller action movie. That's not what it is. This movie belongs in the 1990s, just like how Venom belongs in the early 2000s. Venom bored me because it was an early 2000s comic book movie released in 2018. It's a movie that should have been released in 2003. It certainly felt like it. It took itself way too seriously. Okay? It's the same exact thing here. Hunter Kill, I'm not going to remember this movie. I really don't. And the big gigantic final climactic battle is just a bunch of shouting. And then, oh yay, torpedo goes off. Whoop-de-doo. I'm going to give Hunter Killer a D. Yeah, D for disaster. This movie's a disaster. I think I, actually am in World War III right now. Guys, that's my review of Hunter Killer. Don't see it, please. Thank you for watching my review of Hunter Killer, guys. I have some more reviews coming your way. You can check out all my links in my social media. Those are at my website. I will leave my link to my website in the description below. You guys are the best. I'll see you next time.